Hey, this is Katie, your favorite redheaded psychic, doing Psychic on the Scene, and I asked you guys to send in your questions tonight, and I got two of my favorite handlers, not my favorite handlers, but two of my handlers that I absolutely love here with me tonight. I've got Hillary and I've got Delaney, and they're going to read your questions to me, and I'm going to answer them as best as I possibly can. So go ahead.
Okay. Shannon would like to know, how did you know you wanted to do this more than just on the side? When you read the same people more than once, do you also remember anything about them?
Okay, so that's a two-parter. So how did I know I wanted to do this more than just on the side? I was still working at the Chamber of Commerce, and I got connected to a missing person case, and the phone calls were coming in at my day job. So I had to make a choice about what I wanted to do, and I started booking out, oh gosh, while I was still at the Chamber of Commerce. I think I was booking out on weekends and weeknights about 4 months out to 6 months out. And then, after that, the rest is history. The actual official date of my anniversary is 2006, October 13th. It was Friday the 13th when I officially did it as my career. And I'm forever grateful and feel very blessed. So that was the first part. And the other part was, do I get the same information over and over again?
When you read the same people more than once, do you remember anything about them?
I do not. When I do readings, it completely leaves me. So once I give the information and I write it all down for you guys, or I do the live shows, I will remember the client's face, but I don't remember anything that I've said. So when I come back to them, it's all a new, reading for me, for them. So it's a clean slate.
Yeah. Corey Ann wants to know, do people talk to you or come through all day long, and how do you shut it off?
I don't shut it off anymore. Sometimes I do. I shouldn't say that, but I really don't shut it down anymore, that I don't have to, because I'm just out and about. Do I hear chatter all the time? Absolutely. I hear voices and chatter, and makes for a very interesting time with my kids and outplays. Even with you guys, we've been at events, and I've turned around and I've said to you, oh, did you hear that? There's people over there talking. You guys are like, no, that's a you thing. Or I've heard music or something. So I hear the voices a lot, but I'm so used to that being in the background, it's there all the time.
Okay. Caitlin would like to know, is there really a heaven or a hell? Or do we just go into the afterlife with our family members that have passed?
So my answer is, I'm Irish Catholic, so was raised always believing in heaven, kind of that, the pictures that you'd see of heaven. When I see heaven, the way I see it when I'm doing your readings, heaven is whatever you choose it to be. So if heaven is Delaware Avenue, or it's your family business, or even the now, that your family is, going and participating in different functions, you are part of their heaven when you cross over. Is there a hell? I have never seen that. I have never experienced that in a reading where somebody has shown me hell. So you are their heaven, and everybody I've ever encountered, when I've done my readings, all goes back home. They all go to heaven. Everybody ascends. So they pick where they want to go.
Yeah.
What's the next question, Delaney?
It is, how do they appear to you when you connect?
When I connect to your family and spirit, whether it's at the shows or I'm doing a private reading or even out like in the supermarket, I will sometimes see a full body person. It'll be pretty solid. Sometimes I hear voices, or sometimes I just see the energy like a heat wave.
Yeah. That's good. When is Psychic on the Scene on? Kristen wants to know.
We tape it. I'm not doing it nearly as much as I should be, but I'm going to make a commitment to make sure I do it more. So we tape them and they go on YouTube, so you can look them up. Go ahead, Delaney.
Okay. And Joanne says, hi, Katie. Do you ever want to say, stop talking to me for now? Can you shut off the voices?
I can
Cena's
shut them
missing
off.
out.
Okay. John Cena's missing out.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yeah, John Cena.
We have to tag him in this.
yeah, I gotta get you some of this.
Yep.
Do I ever shut the voices off? That's the same question kind of as we had before. But I really don't try anymore, because I'm so used to the chatter. So, go ahead.
Okay. Tina wants to know, can you tell us more about choosing your heaven? It's my favorite question.
And kind of what I spoke to before. When we cross, it's whatever you want it to be. And family and spirit can be in 5 different places at once. So if your family wants to be in California with you, in New York, or different family members, they ride with you. So it's wherever you choose it to be. Go ahead.
Kristen asks, hi Katie, how do you protect yourself from unsafe spirits?
So every day when I get up and I do my normal ritual, I always do a prayer of protection. I still do the rosary, and I'm always calling in my angels, my spirit guides, and my family and spirit to come in around me. I have had times where I felt like other things have kind of attached on. Not anything that I would say is super negative, but I have the ability to say, you don't belong here, you need to go home. So that's really how I combat it. I also do the smudging, and if I really need to, I can salt the house. And those are all other different ways to kind of get rid of spirits. So,
Okay.
hopefully that answers that.
Mary wants to know, what is your favorite overall aspect of being a psychic medium?
What's my favorite?
Yeah,
oh my
favorite.
goodness, that's a big question,
Yeah.
Mary. It's probably because I've been like this since I was a little girl. Is just having the ability to just be me. Is just letting it go and not having to hide it anymore. Kind of coming out. So go ahead.
Christian asks, do you ever think about what it would be like to have been born without your gift?
I think that's a really interesting question. Because I've always known it, I have actually said when I've taught classes, it would be strange for me not to hear the voices if it all of a sudden went quiet. So I do think that that's an interesting thing, that what would my life be like? I'd probably be working still for the Chamber of Commerce. I'd still be working with the public, doing that kind of a job. But I truly believe that everybody's psychic. So I think that we have it all at different levels. So I probably would still be working with some intuition, but maybe not like this. All right, go ahead.
Irene wants to know, why did you wait to start this adventure? What took over?
The final thing, and Irene and I were worked together through the Chamber of Commerce, actually. And the thing that finally did it was I was working on a police case, and I always say that the police outed me, Harry Buffardi, and started giving my name out on other cases, and they were calling me at my day job. So I had to make that life decision to say, I think I need to be doing something else here.
Hey, the cops are calling again.
Yeah, the cops are calling again, so yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Paul says, what are shadow people?
Shadow people, and probably a couple different terminologies, but the way I know it is, shadow people typically are spirits, and they come in different heights, so they can be full height shadow people, but they're typically demonized, or they're considered negatives, and they're not really negative. They don't have to be. It's just how, when energy from spirits manifest, they work their hardest to manifest any way they possibly can. So sometimes it's just a shadow, but it's not really like shadow, like evil. It's just how they come through. So it's a spirit that comes through.
Kimberly wants to know, if the dead visit you in a dream and have a very clear message, is it really them?
Yes, most of the time it is. It's called a dream visit. I tell my clients and students that it's really about how it makes you feel. It's not so much about what the message is, because they sometimes give very strange or trivial messages, but the person's experience of having the dream of seeing their family member makes them feel comforted, safe, and it's so real that they know that it was a visit from their family member in spirit. So it's really about how it makes you feel. But yes, those are called dream visits. So.
And Jennifer asks, do we see our family and friends once we pass, and do we remember life here on Earth together?
I believe we not only remember I believe in past lives. So I believe we remember other lifetimes. So yes, I think that every single time we come back and forth, we take a little bit from each lifetime. And that's also how you connect with other people, and you think to yourself, I know that person. So that's one part of it. And do you see your family when you cross over? Is that the other part of the question? They greet you on the other side. So they're waiting for you. I've had times where we're talking about somebody that was in hospice, and I can tell them who was waiting in the room to take them to the other side. So, yes.
Tony wants to know, are the spirits sexual beings?
Tony, you're an ass. No, you know what? I'm not even going to answer that, Tony. I'll have dinner with you soon, sweetie. And Tony is a woman, just so you know. But yeah, she's a maniac. She's one of my dearest friends. Tony, why'd you ask that? All right, go.
Carol asks, is there one spirit who stays with you always?
Everybody has a spirit guide, so that would be a yes. I do think that your family members probably are coming with you all the time too, but you have a spirit guide that you're born with. They're assigned to you, they sign up for you. That's kind of a contract you make in heaven before you get here, and they help you through your lifetime.
Alicia wants to know, when trying to get in touch with a specific someone who has passed, how do you connect with them or find them?
How do I connect with them or find me?
Like if you were to specifically ask for...
Well, because you can't get them all the time. You can't get them all the time. It helps if people have heirlooms or photos. That helps me focus in on the energy. But even that sometimes doesn't work. I think if the person I'm reading for, like, kind of holds like an image of them in their head, or like says their name, there's something with voice vibration. So if they say, you know, Carl. Gonna be a Walking Dead fan. If they say the name, then it brings the energy through. It like calls them forward. And I have said that when I'm seeing it, there's like a person behind you or next to you, and there might be some other people standing with them, like in the background, and they just need to be called forward. So the person saying the name, sometimes that's all it needs, is to kind of call it forward. So.
Maureen asks, in the Gazette article, you touched on the person who brought home some negative energy. How can people protect themselves from bringing the negative energy home? I tell my girls to put themselves in a bubble, but should they do more? You
can do the Good Witch of the West bubble. That's the best way to do it. You envision that, and it's like a white light bubble. And if you're doing that on a regular basis, you're actually thinking of like pushing out negative energy, or having almost like a Teflon bubble or armor around you. And if you're an empath especially, you're keeping that off of you. You can still see and help people, but it's not touching you or coming home with you as much. But then you can learn things like smudging, and even have somebody do Reiki on you to kind of clear the energy.
Rebecca wants to know, can you or do you see a bad situation for someone you are reading, and do you tell that person?
Yes, I do. People all the time will ask me, do you tell the negative? I do tell the negative, and not because I want it to be like dun dun dun, you know, I want it to be frightening. I think if spirit is giving me information that might be negative, that I'm supposed to be conveying that, but probably in a way that's supposed to be helpful, so that it's either helping them to prepare, or it can curtail an event. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
Meilani asks, what is the best way to try and tap into your own clairvoyant abilities?
It's just like with real estate. It's meditation, 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 rather than location, location, location. You've got to raise your vibration, and by raising your vibration, one of the first things you do is meditate. Please tell me that's recording.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay, good.
Jacqueline wants to know, do those who have passed over forgive us for anything that we may have screwed up?
Oh my gosh, yes, Jacqueline, absolutely. Over there, they get it. So if here you had a conflict with them, and maybe things were left unresolved over there, they understand the human frailty, either the actions that they played in that or that you had, and that stuff is all good. It's all forgiven. I always say, nobody comes through and says, die with me. Nobody says, don't live a happy life. That is the truth. So they would never take over that anger or those lower emotions.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, honey.
Jalissa asks, do we all have a guardian angel?
Yes, we all have guardian angels as well as a spirit guide. So you can tap into that by doing meditation and work like that.
Denise wants to know, what signs should we be looking for to know a loved one is still with us?
Oh, there's lots. You can have, first of all, whatever sign you get from your family or loved one, you know it's special, connected to that person because of how it makes you feel. So the second that you get, the smell of smoke, perfume, Old Spice, or like your television turns on, you get a weird feeling that goes along with it. And I don't mean it in a negative way, but you get like, oh my gosh, they're here with me. You know immediately that it's your Nana or it's your father. You know that it's them. So, so it could be birds, butterflies, pennies. It can be hearts. It can be rainbows. It's an abundance of things, but you're going to know it when you feel it. Okay.
Why do our loved ones that have passed over show up in our dreams?
I think it's just,
Why?
I think that's how your brain can process that psychic ability. So some people do it in a dream state, and it's the easiest way for them to come through to let you know that they're okay.
Randy wants to know, what is the best way to get in touch with your inner spiritual self for guidance? I've spoken to my grandmother, but don't feel like I'm getting any signs back to help guide me in a personal issue. But I know she's with me and I need some guidance.
I would work at more doing like quiet meditation. And meditation doesn't have to be for an hour a day. You can do it for a half an hour, 20 minutes. And just when you go with an intention to get an answer, kind of raising your vibration to hear from your family members. The old saying was, if you're meditating longer than an hour, then you're sleeping. So I really believe that just small meditations help raise that vibration to be able to hear that. So I think I know what Randy that is. So love you, Randy.
Karen asks, does a spirit ever come to you and guide you to an encounter with their loved one so you can deliver a message?
All the time. That's what I do. That's every day. That their loved ones are constantly coming through. Sometimes it's in a supermarket. Sometimes it is just at a reading or a group. But your family members are always coming in to me, or not into me. That's gross. They're giving me messages, I should say. And then I give them to you. Stop laughing.
Deneen wants to know, have you ever been asked to do a reading where no loved ones come through? If so, what happens?
I haven't had that very often. The few times that something like that's happened, it was almost like a door closed. And part of it was something preempted it, where they were maybe odd ducks or kind of giving me a hard time. And like the one lady actually was setting it up so she could give me a hard time. And I basically said to her, you showed up here to test me, didn't you? And she was like, well, yes. And I said, then we're done. And I just stopped the reading. So there are times like that, but I almost think it's like a way of protection. Most of the time people come through. May not be who you wanted, but they come through.
Pat asks, does it hurt to die, and does a loved one come to get you?
Loved ones always come to get you. I have not encountered any kind of physical feeling connected to that, but their family takes them to the other side. So there's always somebody waiting for them, and they're surrounded.
Linda.
And by the way, once they're in heaven, there is no pain. So that's usually what people want to know. So they're not suffering anymore. They're not sick anymore when they're over there. So maybe that's a better answer to that. Okay.
Linda says, I can imagine when you die, you can be with the love of your life if you choose to. But what if you had several loved ones or even loved from a past life? Have you ever heard about what happens in cases like that? And do you visit and share time with different important loved ones? Or maybe when you die, there is something there waiting and it becomes obvious that he is the real deal.
Who is this?
Linda.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
Can we read again?
No. What she's asking is, like, if you had more than one love, or if you have more than one person, like when you cross over, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but like I've had person have the love of their life, and the husband dies, a soulmate dies, and then guess what? They meet another love of their life, and they have another like 20 years together, and then that person dies. So people will say, like the daughters will come to me and they'll go, "Who's mom with? Is she with dad or is she with stepdad?" Because our energy on the other side, it's not like you and I sitting here right now. It's not the same. We can be in 100 different places at once. They can be with as many of their loved ones as they want to be. So they can show up next to, this one over here and then this one over here. So it's not linear. It's not the same. Different planes. Okay, go ahead.
Sarah asks, I know you have many creepy and crazy experiences with spirits, but which are your top 3 craziest / creepiest experiences?
Okay, and that's from my daughter, Sarah. So the top 3 spooky ones, there was, the one I talked about in the paper, which was during a meeting, looking across the street, and I actually saw a woman in the window, and I thought it was a real woman, and she was wringing her hands. That was bizarre. Physical ones that I've had, I've been on ghost encounters where, like ghost hunts, paranormal hunts, and I shouldn't even call them that, but they were with groups like Northeast Paranormal and Albany Ghost Investigators, even before that. The one with Albany Ghost Investigators was in a place in Middleburg, and myself and another woman, and she'll probably sound off on this, we're sitting down in a very, very old basement, and it was dark, and I said to her, do you think now would be a good time for me to tell them I'm afraid of the dark? Forgetting that they were taping the whole thing. She started to giggle, and with that we heard a loud boom, and the whole, downstairs shook. Well, the next thing you saw was my ass running towards that camera. I took off. I left her. I took off. And she ran up behind me, and I break into the room, and I said, "Did you catch that on tape?" They go, "What does it mean when the psychic gets scared?" Right? Anyway, so it sounded like a cannon shot, but it shook everything. You could feel it. That was frightening. Another place I was a restaurant, and they hadn't opened it up yet, and it's a place in Clifton Park, and I was standing in the vestibule, and I was talking to the owner about the construction and everything, and they were talking about haunting, and I felt something touching the top of my hair, and he said, very deep, he says, "I like redheads," and I was about to say to the owner, "We need to move out of this space," and he goes, "That's the darndest thing. Something just touched my hair." And I said, "We need to go." And I said, "There's a man talking," and he said there was a body found in the bar area. Yeah. So anyway, so that was another one. And then probably another really creepy encounter was on a ghost investigation with Ray. It was the first time I ever met Ray and a whole paranormal group, the gals from Spirit. And we were at Professor Java's, and I don't know if I'm at liberty to say that, but I'm going to. And we had done a press thing, and that was off the hook, one of the scariest places that I'd ever done a ghost investigation. And it showed up on camera, and it was yelling at me. That's probably the number one. Sarah actually was at that one too. And it was calling me all kinds of, call me a redheaded whore. And does it know me or what? But anyways, it was pretty bad, and it touched me and everything. It was that was one of those encounters where by the time we got done, I got in the car and I was shaking. So yeah, so those are my top 3. Go ahead.
Okay, Jody and Christina both want to know how they can watch and listen to this. Is it online? So.
Yeah, it's online. It's YouTube. I'll make sure that we post it after.
Okay. Sherry asks, do they ever let you sleep?
Mm-hmm. I was very fortunate years and years ago. I took classes, and the instructor, I raised my hand and I said, how do you make it stop? And she said, if you're having trouble with that, she said, you just tell them that these are your like office hours. She said, this is when I go to sleep and this is when I get up, and it has worked. So most of the time I sleep really well. Every great once in a while somebody wakes me up. So not usually.
Bobby wants to know.
Not John Cena.
Bobby asks, what does it mean when you not only have really vivid dreams about relatives that have passed, but you also see visions and shadows of figures while you're awake?
Oh, so okay. So the seeing your family in spirit, which we covered before, is the dream visits. However they make you feel, basically telling you that all is good. I'm just trying to see what was behind me. What was the other one? The shadows. Seeing them out of the corner of your eye. A lot of people say that they catch them. They see like movement or shadow out of the corner of their eye. That can be pretty valid. And again, it's how it makes you feel. If you feel all of a sudden like somebody's there, that's usually an indication that you have some spirit activity in a location, and you might be a little bit of a magnet for it. And now you're just kind of realizing that you can do this.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Lori asks, does everyone have a soulmate in this lifetime?
Damn, girl, I would love to know that. I'm going to say yes, because that's the Katie in me to say, yes, everybody has a soulmate. Hoping mine's John Cena. But there's three things. There's three types. There's kindred spirits, there's soulmates, and twin flames. Twin flames are the hard lessons, and everybody knows when I say this. This is the person you meet. They're actually the reflection of yourself. And whether it's good or bad, it's the same as yourself. Usually, it's a very intense, connected relationship. They lift you up, and then they drop you off a cliff. And you're supposed to go, what happened? And then you're supposed to figure out what's the life lesson you were supposed to learn. You're supposed to grow from it, basically. And if you don't, you keep doing it in a cycle over and over again. Kindred spirits can be like your children, your nana, friends, and those are the people that just give you love no matter what. And then soulmates. Soulmates are the ones, from the second you meet them, it feels like you've shared many lifetimes together. And the second they walk in the room, there's a feeling of peace. You're almost speaking to one another through telepathy. So that's kind of my explanation on the difference of those. So if you encounter those, you kind of have a heads up about what they are. Okay, Who's next?
Me.
Okay.
Oh, Jacqueline. Jacqueline asks, in the movie and book, Heaven is Real, the kid said he met his sister as a small girl, but she was born sleeping. Do babies age in heaven?
I have encountered that. So I've had more than one time where I'm reading for an older sibling, and I don't know that they lost somebody, and I'll say there's like a woman next to you and she looks identical to you, same age, and the woman then told me that she lost her twin sister, and the twin was lost at like 2 years old, and she grew up with her. So it seems like siblings will grow along with their, family. So yes, they do see them like that. And that's the only time I've ever had that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Sherry asks, when you see the dead, do you see them in the clothes they are buried in?
So, I had actually a professor one time say, if it's not all pure, then why aren't they walking around naked? And I said, well then, because you didn't walk around like a nudist all the time, when you were here. I do not see them, I think, in the clothes that they were buried in. I see them in things maybe that, like they wore if they were working at GE, like to the happiest times of their life. So, different things, like almost like snapshots of their life. Go ahead.
Christy would like to know, my question is, we have been waiting to hear from a particular someone. Is there anything special that we can do to bring this person through?
Might just be time. Time might be an element, or it might be if they're going to shows. Sometimes it's too many people at shows, and they need to have like their own reading, like a private reading. And then because it's just like too much energy all at once for that one particular person to come through. And other than just talking to them all the time, which I'm sure they are, their family member is going to come through, whether it's through a sign or dream. Their family member is always with your family is with you no matter what. You never need a Katie or John Edward or Teresa Caputo to tell you that your family is with you. Your family is always with you. Whether you're hearing them or sensing them, that's a little bit different story, but they're with you all the time.
The final question, Lori asks, are some spirits more understandable than others? Do they all communicate the same?
They do not all communicate the same. Some are more understandable than others. I've actually had ones where they show up and their mouths don't move. And if their mouths don't move, I start to realize that they're speaking to me with telepathy. And that usually means that they speak a foreign language or they had trouble speaking. So something might have happened to their vocal cords, or they might have had, cancer or something of, the throat. So, no, they don't all, or they flash images to me. That's just the way I do it. So they might show me pictures, and that's how they communicate rather than the chatting. So, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you for your questions and thank you for following me. And I'd like to say a special thank you to Donna Levine and a special thank you to my handlers for being here tonight to help me out with this. And guys, don't forget, October 8th is the new moon. Is that the new moon? So it's transformation and it's new beginnings. So you really want to make sure you light your candles and do your sage and write down your wishes and desires and get rid of anything that you no longer need. So release what's holding you back. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to Psychic on the Scene. Thank you very much. Mwah, mwah.